We are discussing conventional plant breeding, right? Conventional plant breeding. What? Conventional plant breeding. Conventional plant breeding is often constrained by availability, is often constrained by what's the availability of disease resistant genes which are present and identified in wild, which are present and identified in what's our wild relatives and crop varieties. Now listen this statement. We are discussing conventional plant breeding, right? What it is? Conventional plant breeding. Conventional plant breeding is often constrained means restricted. What is the meaning of constrained, sir? Restricted. Therefore, conventional plant breeding is often restricted, constrained by availability of limited number of disease resistant genes. Be careful with this statement. Therefore, sir, conventional plant breeding is often constrained, restricted, limited, stopped by what, sir? Availability of limited number of disease resistant genes. What are in limited number? Disease resistant genes are in limited number. Sir, this disease resistant genes, where we are going to see? We are going to see this disease resistant genes in what, sir? Wild varieties and right, what's our wild varieties? Nothing but wild relatives and what more? Crop varieties. Therefore, seen in this disease resistant genes are seen in crop varieties and wild relatives. Crop varieties and wild relatives. Is the statements okay? Right. Now go for mutation breeding. What? Go for mutation breeding. Now listen here, sir. Mutations. What is the meaning of mutations? Sudden heritable changes in the genotype of an organism. Sudden heritable changes in the genotype of an organism called as what, sir? Mutations. Now listen this statement, sir. During mutations, genotype of an organism changed or not? Changed. Sir, genotype means genetic makeup. Therefore, genes change came or not came? Came. During what? Mutations. Therefore, mutations changes what, sir? Changes. Mutations changes base sequence of what, sir? Genes. Base sequence of what, sir? Genes. Sir, what is the meaning of base sequence? First tell me what is the meaning of gene? Gene means segment of DNA. What is the meaning of gene, sir? Segment of DNA. DNA means made up of what? Nucleotides. Nucleotides means nitrogen base, sugar and phosphate. Nitrogen base, sugar and phosphate. Therefore, gene made up of nucleotides. Nucleotides, do they contain nitrogen bases or not? Yes, we are speaking about that nitrogen bases. Is it okay? Right. Therefore, mutations, they changes the base sequence of what's our gene. Changes the base sequence of the gene. So, a character which is not there in the parent plants, such characters can be induced. Such characters can be induced. Such characters can be induced in the progeny by what, sir? Mutations. Therefore, mutations, what, sir? Mutations can induce, what? Mutations can induce a new character. Mutations can induce a new character in progeny, which is not there in parent plants. Which is not in parent plants. Is this statement okay? Right? Which is not there in what, sir? Parent plants. Now listen these statements carefully. Take conventional plant breeding. What, sir? Conventional plant breeding. In conventional plant breeding, the characters which are not there in parent plants, we cannot introduce a new character into the progeny. It means what characters are present in the parent plants, the same characters are transferred to the progeny. In what? Conventional plant breeding. Therefore, conventional plant breeding, by conventional plant breeding, we cannot introduce a new character into the progeny which is not there in the parent plants. Which is not there in the parent plants. Okay, such characters cannot be introduced in the progeny by conventional plant breeding. Do conventional plant breeding introduces a new character into the progeny which is not there in the parent plants? No, it cannot introduce. Whereas mutations, they can induce a new character into the progeny. They can introduce new character into the progeny which is not there in the parent plants. Is this statement okay? Right? But mutations are not always desirable. Is mutations always desirable? No, mutations are not always desirable. For example, take a rice plant. Take a rice plant. Sir, this rice plant has undergone, right, sir, mutations with the help of mutagens. Using mutagens means we are discussing induced mutations, right? Mutagens means chemical substances which induces mutations, right? Sir, by using a mutagen, right, mutations are done in which plants are rice plant. By which, for example, we got 4 varieties of rice, A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D, right, these are 4 varieties of rice. Sir, already this rice plant is giving 2 kgs of rice. This is our assumption. Take a rice plant which is giving 2 kgs of rice. This is our assumption, just we are assuming. Take a rice plant which is giving 2 kgs of rice. This variety has undergone, right, mutations with the help of a mutagen. Then 4 rice varieties are produced, A, B, C, D. Is it okay? Sir, A variety is giving 1 kg of rice, B variety is giving 2 kgs of rice, C variety is giving 3 kgs of rice, D variety is giving, right, 4 kgs of rice. Now you tell me, sir, A and B, they are produced by mutations, but are they desirable? No. Because already we are having a rice variety which is giving 2 kgs of rice. Then what is the use to produce a rice variety which is having 1 kg of rice or 2 kgs of rice by using mutations? Are they desirable in this case? No, they are not desirable. But here they are desirable. Here they are desirable. Is this statement okay? Therefore, mutations are not always desirable. Mutations are not always desirable. Mutations are not always desirable. Sir, then what we should do, sir? Sir, here by mutations we got right 4 varieties. These 2 varieties are desirable. Therefore, after mutations, selection should be done. We have to select these 2 varieties. Therefore, mutations followed by artificial selection gives a good, right, gives a good plant. Is this statement okay? Right? Therefore, mutations followed by what, sir? Artificial selection. artificial selection. Mutations followed by artificial selection gives a better plant. Is it okay? Or mutations followed by artificial selection gives a plant with desirable characters. Plant with which characters are? Desirable characters. To get a plant with desirable characters, what we are doing? First mutations followed by artificial selection. To get a plant with desirable characters, first mutation should be done, then artificial selection. Sir, first mutation is done here. Then artificially I selected right C and D varieties because these are rice varieties having desirable characters. Yes or no? Then what I should do, sir? We can use these varieties. Okay, we can use these varieties right as parent plants for crop improvement, or we can multiply them directly. Therefore, they can be either multiplied or used as parent plants right in crop improvement programs. Is this statements okay? Right? Right. We are discussing what's our mutation breeding, right? Mutation breeding. Sir, are mutations always desirable? Do mutations are always desirable? No, mutations are not always desirable. Therefore, after mutations, artificial selection gives a plant with desirable characters. Now this plant with what, sir? Plant with desirable characters. Sir, here what is the desirable character? Disease resistance. Yes or no? Therefore, plant with what? Disease resistance is multiplied. What is done? Multiplied or used as a parent plant. Used as parent plant in crop improvement. Therefore, once we identified a plant which is having a desirable character, that is disease resistance, that plant is multiplied or that plant is used as a parent plant in crop improvement or plant breeding program. Is this statement okay? Right. Now listen this statement. Sir, a plant by name Mung bean. What's the plant name? Mung bean. We can write this as a M-U-N-G also, Mung bean. Is it okay? Right. Which bean, sir? It is a Mung bean. Right. Which bean it is? Mung bean. Sir, in this Mung bean, right, resistance for yellow mosaic disease and powdery mildew disease are induced by mutations. Therefore, Mung bean resistant to yellow mosaic and powdery mildew disease. Sir, who is resistant? Mung bean is resistant to yellow mosaic and powdery mildew disease. Sir, how this is made resistant to these two diseases, sir? We are saying that Mung bean is resistant to yellow mosaic and powdery mildew disease. Yes or no? How this is made resistant to these two diseases, sir? By induced mutations. By which mutations, sir? Induced mutations. Therefore, Mung bean resistant to yellow mosaic and powdery mildew diseases due to induced mutations. Due to which mutation, sir? Induced mutations. Is this statement okay? Right. Sir, yellow mosaic, this disease is caused by virus. Yellow mosaic disease is caused by virus. Whereas powdery mildew disease is caused by fungi. Powdery mildew disease is caused by whom, sir? Fungi. Therefore, is this statement okay? Is it clear? Right. Now, sir, what is the meaning of soma clonal variants? What is the meaning of soma clonal variants, sir? Soma, vegetative. Vegetative. Sir, what is the meaning of clone, sir? Uniformity. Homozygous, right? Uniformity in what, sir? Uniformity in phenotype and genotype. Uniformity in phenotype and what, sir? Genotype. Sir, what is the meaning of variants, sir? Now listen the statements carefully. Sir, in a clone, all individuals same or different? Same. In a clone, all individuals are phenotypically and genotypically similar. Phenotypically and genotypically similar. What? Individuals of a clone. But due to mutations, we got one individual in a clone which is different. That is called as what, sir? Variant. Therefore, one member or one individual, one member of the clone, one member of the clone is different from others due to what? Mutations. Due to what, sir? Mutations. That member is called as variant. Is it okay? Clear? Right. Therefore, what is the meaning of variant, sir? Variant is one of the member in a clone, but that member is different from other members of a clone. Why that member is different from other members of a clone? Because that member has undergone mutations. Therefore, one member of the clone is different from others due to what, sir? Mutations. Is this statement okay? Clear? Therefore, right, soma clonal variants. Is this statement clear? Okay, right. So take a wild species. Which species, sir? Wild species. Sir, wild species, they contain certain disease resistant genes with certain what? With certain disease resistant genes. Which species? Wild species. Wild species are with certain disease resistant genes. But this wild species, their yield is less. Therefore, less producing, more producing, less producing, less yielding. Whereas if you take a cultivated species, what, sir? Cultivated species. If you take cultivated species, right, these cultivated species are high yielding. Cultivated species are what, sir? High yielding. Cultivated species are high yielding. Now you tell me, sir, we are discussing plant breeding for disease resistance. Yes or no? We are discussing plant breeding for disease resistance. Plant breeding for disease resistance. Sir, where is disease resistant genes available in this case? Wild species. Yes or no? Right. Therefore, sir, if you cross these two varieties, right, there is a wild species and cultivated species. What and what, sir? Wild species and cultivated species. Okay, then what happens? This disease resistant gene is introduced into cultivated species. Disease resistant gene is transferred to cultivated species. Who is a donor of disease resistant gene here? Wild species. Therefore, wild species is a donor of what, sir? Disease resistant genes here. Is this statement okay? Clear. Therefore, what is the source here? Therefore, here the source is a wild species. What is the target? Right, cultivated species. Therefore, a cross is made between what and what? Source and target. Then we will get a plant which is what, sir? Disease resistant. Disease resistant. Therefore, sir, wild species when crossed with cultivated species. Wild species when crossed with what, sir? Cultivated species. Wild species crossed with cultivated species. We are calling this as a sexual hybridization. What is this for? Sexual hybridization. What it is? Sexual hybridization. Then what happens, sir? Transfer of what? Disease resistant genes to cultivated species. Is this statement okay? Clear, right? Therefore, transfer. What has transferred? Disease resistant genes transferred to what, sir? Cultivated species. When? During sexual hybridization. When, sir? During sexual hybridization. During sexual hybridization. Is this statement okay? Right? Now, listen this statement. A variety of bendi Sir, bendi. What is the botanical name of bendi, sir? Abelmoschus. Abelmoschus esculentus. What it is? Abelmoschus esculentus. Abelmoschus esculentus. What is the botanical name of bendi? Abelmoschus esculentus. Sir, it belongs to which family, sir? Malvaceae family. Belongs to which family? Malvaceae family. Belongs to Malvaceae family. Malvaceae is a dicot or monocot? It's a dicot, right? Now we are speaking about a variety of bendi. Sir, what is that variety of bendi? The variety of bendi, a variety of bendi. A variety of bendi by name Parbani Kranti. Now you tell me. Sir, Parbani Kranti is a variety of bendi. What is the scientific name of Parbani Kranti? It will be Abelmoschus esculentus only, because this is a variety of bendi. What is the botanical name of bendi? Abelmoschus esculentus. So the botanical name of Parbani Kranti is also Abelmoschus esculentus itself. Is it okay? Right. Now listen, a variety of bendi by name Parbani Kranti. What it is? Parbani Kranti. It is resistant to yellow mosaic disease. Parbani Kranti. Resistant to what, sir? Resistant to what? Yellow mosaic disease. Resistant to yellow mosaic disease. Sir, how this Parbani Kranti is made resistant to yellow mosaic disease, sir? How it is made resistant to yellow mosaic disease, sir? It means now Parbani Kranti is having what, sir? Gene which is resistant to yellow mosaic disease. Yes or no? How we got this? Wild species crossed with cultivated species. It resulted in Parbani Kranti. It resulted in what, sir? Parbhani Kranti. Therefore, can we say that this Parbhani Kranti is produced by hybridization followed by selection? Yes, hybridization and selection. Hybridization and selection. There is a conventional plant breeding. Conventional plant breeding. Therefore, Parbhani Kranti produced by what, sir? Produced by conventional plant breeding. Conventional plant breeding. What is that? Hybridization and selection. Hybridization and what's our selection? Hybridization and selection. Is this statements okay? Therefore, Parbhani Kranti produced by conventional plant breeding. Conventional plant breeding. There is hybridization and selection. Hybridization and selection. Is this statements okay? Right. Sir, what is the source of disease-resistant genes, sir? Source of disease-resistant genes. Resistant genes. Source of disease resistant genes. Source of disease resistant genes are, right, number one, same crop species or are, right, wild relative. What's, sir? Wild relative. Sir, we are discussing plant breeding for disease resistance, right? Sir, where we got this disease resistant genes, sir? The source of disease resistant genes are available in same crop species, available in same crop species or in wild relatives, Is it okay? Right? We are discussing plant breeding, right? Now go for the next topic. Plant breeding for pest resistance. Sir, why we have to make a plant pest resistance, sir? Why we have to make a plant pest resistance? Listen. Another major cause for destruction. For what? Destruction of crop plants and crop products. Crop plants and crop products is a pest infestation. And insects. See these statements. Sir, pathogens, they are destructing the crops, they are damaging the crops. In the similar manner, okay, in the same way, right, even the pest infestations and insects, what's that? Pest infestations and insects, right, they also cause major destruction. They also causes major destruction in what's our crop plants and crop products. Therefore, another major cause for destruction of crop plants and crop products is pest infestation and what's our insects. Sir, pest infestation means here pest is invading a host plant. It means the pest is living in or on the host plant. What is the meaning of pest infestation, sir? Pest infestation means the pest is started to live inside or on the host plant. Is this statement okay? Right. Therefore, another major cause for destruction of crop plants and crop products is pest infestation and what's insects. Is it okay? Right. Sir, crop plants they may be resistant. Crop plants they may be resistant to insect pest. Crop plants may be resistant to insect pest. May be resistant to what's insect pest due to morphological characters, biochemical characters, or physiological characters. See this statement, sir. There are some crop plants which are resistant to insect pest. What characters are making these crop plants resistant for insect pests, sir? Number 1, morphological characters. Number 2, biochemical characters. Or number 3, what's our physiological characters? Which characters? Physiological characters. Is this statements okay? Right. Now concerned to this part, now we are going to discuss some important examples. Right. What are the examples? Plant character, nature of character, resistant to insect pest. Resistant to what's insect pest. Resistant to insect pest. Resistant to what? Insect pest. Now listen here. Go for the first character. What's hairy leaves. What's hairy leaves? Hairy leaves, this character is seen in several plants. This hairy leaves character is seen in several plants. Which character? Hairy leaves seen in several plants such as what's number 1, cotton, right? Number 2, wheat. What is the character? Hairy leaves. Sir, hairy leaves is which character, sir? It is a morphological character. Is which character? Morphological character. It's a morphological character. Sir, due to the presence of hairy leaves. Due to the presence of what? Due to the presence of hairy leaves in which plant? Cotton. Due to the presence of hairy leaves. Okay. In what, sir? Cotton. Cotton becomes resistant. Cotton becomes resistant for which pest, sir? Jacid. It becomes resistant for which pest, sir? Jacid. Is it okay? Who is making cotton resistant for jacid, sir? Right, presence of hairy leaves. Therefore, presence of hairy leaves, cotton plant became resistant for which insect pest? Jacid. right? Number 2, wheat. Sir, in wheat plant also you can see which leaves, sir? Hairy leaves. In wheat plant also you can see which leaves, sir? Hairy leaves. Hairy leaves, which character? Morphological character. Due to the presence of hairy leaves, in which plant? Wheat plant. The wheat becomes resistant for which pest, sir? Becomes resistant for cereal leaf beetle. Is this statement okay? Right. Therefore, wheat plant became resistant for cereal leaf beetle due to the presence of hairy leaves. Is it okay? Therefore, hairy leaves is a morphological character. Hairy leaves present in several plants such as cotton and wheat. Due to the presence of hairy leaves, cotton became resistant for jacid pest. Due to the presence of hairy leaves, wheat became resistant for cereal leaf beetle. Cereal leaf beetle. Is it okay? Right. Now go for next character. Sir, what is the next character, sir? Solid stem. What, sir? Solid stem. Sir, solid stem is also which character? Morphological character. Solid stem is which character? Morphological character. Where we can see the solid stem, sir? It is present in the case of wheat plant. Present in the case of which plant? Wheat plant. Which character, sir? Solid stem. Morphological character. Present in wheat plant. Is it okay? Due to the presence of a solid stem in wheat plant, the wheat becomes resistant for stem saw fly. Who became resistant? Wheat plant became resistant. For what? Stem saw fly pest. Due to the presence of what? Solid stem. See this statement? Sir, wheat became resistant for cereal leaf beetle due to the presence of hairy leaves. Wheat became resistant for what, sir? Stem saw fly due to the presence of a solid stem. Is it okay? Right? Go for the next character. What is the next character, sir? Smooth. Smooth leaf and nectarless. What and what? Smooth leaf and nectarless. Sir, smooth leaf is morphological character. Smooth leaf is morphological character, whereas nectarless is biochemical character. Nectarless is which character, sir? Biochemical character. Sir, where we can see this smooth leaf and nectarless character, sir? In the case of cotton. In the case of what, sir? Cotton. In the case of cotton. In the case of cotton. Is it okay? Right. Therefore, sir, smooth leaf and nectarless. In the case of cotton. Right. Makes cotton resistant for which pest, sir? Bollworms. Makes resistant for which pest, sir? Bollworms. Makes resistant for bollworms. Is it okay? Right. Now go for last character. What it is? High aspartic acid. High aspartic acid plus low sugar and low nitrogen. Tell me, sir, high aspartic acid, low sugar and low nitrogen comes under which characters? Biochemical characters. Comes under which characters, sir? Biochemical characters. This high aspartic acid, low sugar and low nitrogen, seen in the case of what, sir? Maize. Seen in the case of what, sir? Maize. Seen in the case of maize. Sir, due to the presence of high aspartic acid, low sugar and low nitrogen, this maize became resistant. Maize became resistant for stem borer. Borer, which drills. Who is drilling? The pest is drilling. What is drilling? It is drilling the stem. So we are calling it as a stem borer. Which stem borer, sir? Maize stem borer. Therefore, due to the presence of high aspartic acid, right, low sugar and low nitrogen, which are biochemical characters in maize plant, the maize became resistant for maize stem borer, Is the statements clear? Therefore, what are the characters we studied here? Number 1, hairy leaves. Number 2, solid stem. Number 3, smooth leaf and nectarless. Number 4, high aspartic acid, low sugar and low nitrogen. Number 1, hairy leaves seen in several plants. Hairy leaves in cotton makes cotton resistant for jacid pest. Hairy leaves in wheat makes wheat resistant for cereal leaf beetle pest. Solid stem in case of wheat. Sir, solid stem makes wheat resistant for stem saw fly pest. Smooth leaf nectarless seen in the case of cotton makes cotton resistant for bollworms. High aspartic acid, low sugar and low nitrogen makes maize resistant for maize stem borer. Maize resistant for maize stem borer. Is these statements okay? Clear, right? We are discussing plant breeding for pest resistance, right? Plant breeding for pest resistance. Now listen, these are some crop varieties. Which are resistant for pest. These varieties are produced by hybridization and selection. Some crop varieties which are resistant to insect pest produced by hybridization and selection are. Sir, these are crop varieties. These crop varieties, they are resistant to what, sir? Insect pest. Sir, how these crop varieties are made resistant to insect pest, sir? By hybridization and selection process. Is this statements okay? Right. Now go for the first one. Pusa Gaurav. What is Pusa Gaurav? Sir, Pusa Gaurav is a variety of brassica crop. Pusa Gaurav is a variety of brassica crop. I already told you brassica, it's a dicot. Sir, this Pusa Gaurav variety, right, of brassica is resistant to which pest, sir? Aphids. Is it okay? Number 2, Pusa Sem 2, Pusa Sem 3. Pusa Sem 2, Pusa Sem 3. These are two varieties of flat bean. Sir, flat bean is also a dicot, sir. These are two varieties of what, sir? Flat bean. These are two varieties of flat bean. Okay. Sir, these two varieties, they are resistant to which pest, sir? Jacid, aphids and fruit borer. Jacid, aphids and fruit borers. All these are what, sir? Pest. To this pest, Sem 2 and Sem 3 are resistant. Is it okay? These are two varieties of what? Flat bean. Now go for the next one. Pusa Savani. What it is? Pusa Savani. Next, Pusa A4. Pusa Savani and Pusa A4, these two are varieties of okra. Okra, right? Bendi. Is it okay? Right. Therefore, Pusa Savani, Pusa A4. Pusa Savani and Pusa A4, these two are varieties of bendi, right? These two varieties are resistant to fruit and shoot borer. Resistant to what, sir? Fruit and shoot borer. Is this statement clear? Is it okay? Right. Now, listen this statement. Sir, here we are using plant breeding to produce what, sir? Pest resistant plants. Yes or no? We are making a plant pest resistant by using plant breeding. to produce a plant which is pest resistant by conventional plant breeding. What are the steps that are involved? Steps to produce a pest resistant plant by using conventional plant breeding. By using conventional plant breeding are, first step, what is the first step? Collection of genetic variability. What is the first step? Collection of genetic variability. Number 2, second step, evaluation and selection of parent plants. Evaluation and selection of parent plants. Now you tell me, here plants are evaluated for which character? Resistance to insect pest. Resistance to what? Insect pest. Number 3, cross hybridization. Number 4, selection and evaluation of recombinants. Selection and evaluation of recombinants. What is the last step? Test, release and commercialization. Test, release and commercialization. Therefore, steps are similar here also. Is these statements okay? Clear? Therefore, what steps we used to produce a plant with any desirable characters by conventional plant breeding, the same steps are used here also to produce a plant which is disease resistant by conventional plant breeding. Is these statements clear? Okay, right? Now listen here. Take a bendi. Sir, till now concerned to bendi, we got 2 varieties. We got 2 varieties. What are the 2 varieties of bendi we got till now? First one is Parbhani Kranti. Parbhani Kranti. And what is the second one, sir? Pusa Savani. What it is? Pusa Savani. And next one is Pusa A4. Pusa Savani and Pusa A4. Sir, what is the speciality of Parbhani Kranti? Resistant. Resistant to yellow mosaic disease. Resistant to yellow mosaic disease. This yellow mosaic disease is caused by which pathogen? Virus. Caused by virus. Whereas Pusa Savani and Pusa A4, right? These two resistant. These two resistant to insect pest. What is that insect pest, sir? Fruit and shoot borer. Fruit and shoot borer. Is these statements okay? Therefore, here it is resistant to virus, whereas here it is resistant to what's our insect pest. Therefore, Parbhani Kranti is resistant to virus pathogen, whereas Pusa Savani, right hand, and Pusa A4, these two are resistant to insect pest. Is this statements clear? Okay, right? Thank you.